Most people approach Psalm 91 thinking it begins with a decision they made, that they chose to enter the secret place, that they reached out to God in a moment of faith. But the truth goes deeper. Long before you chose to run to Him, He chose to cover you. Before you ever prayed, before you ever cried out, His shadow was already extended in your direction. That's the heart of covenant. You didn't create it. You stepped into it. The very first verse isn't just a poetic idea. It's a revelation. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And what is a shadow, if not evidence that someone greater is standing nearby? You don't have to see Him to know He's close. The shadow proves it. The shadow covers what the enemy tries to expose. The shadow shields what hell tries to touch. And that shadow doesn't just appear when you deserve it. It appears when you need it most. Many walk through life thinking they're searching for God. But if you look closely at your story, you'll realize He's been shadowing you for years. In that accident that didn't take your life. In that season where depression didn't swallow you whole. In that hospital room. In that moment where everything told you to quit and you didn't. That was His shadow. His protection doesn't always look like prevention. Sometimes it looks like preservation. What didn't happen is proof enough that His shadow was already near. When Scripture says dwell, it implies that the shadow is constant. Not occasional, not sporadic, not circumstantial, constant. That means His covering isn't reactive. It's not triggered by panic. It's proactive. It's been in place before the battle began. This is the power of walking with a God who sees before you arrive. You walk forward. He's already been there. You face an attack. He's already assigned the angels. You feel weak. He's already surrounded you. You tremble. He steadies you. The secret place is not about you climbing into God's presence. It's about you realizing He already bent down to cover you. You don't earn the shadow. You surrender to it. And the moment you do, the enemy loses access. That's what makes this psalm different. It doesn't invite you into performance, it invites you into alignment. God doesn't say perform until you're safe. He says dwell and you'll be covered. That means the key to protection is not being perfect, it's being positioned. The shadow can only fall on what stands close. So what's the one thing the enemy works overtime to do? Push you out from under the covering, distract you, isolate you, tempt you to run instead of rest. Because he knows what you sometimes forget, he can't touch what stands in the shadow. And what kind of God offers this kind of covering? Not one who waits for you to qualify. A father, a king, a defender, the Most High, the Almighty. These aren't poetic titles. They're battle names. They speak of power, authority, rank, and dominion. The shadow doesn't come from a weak place, it comes from the throne. And it follows those who trust not occasionally, but consistently. So ask yourself this: has His shadow been following you, but you've been too busy to stop and dwell? Have you confused survival with surrender? Do you treat the presence of God as a place to visit? Or is it the home where your soul sleeps? Because if you ever choose to stop running and truly dwell, you won't have to ask for protection again. You'll be living in it. Psalm 91 is not a last-minute hiding place. It's a first offer invitation. He's not just there when you call. He's been there before you knew to call. That's why this is more than a verse, it's a map. Back to the shadow that chose you before you knew you needed it. You are not chasing after safety. Safety is chasing after you. The covering of God is not thin. It's not fragile. It is thick with power, heavy with presence, and saturated with promises the enemy cannot override. All you have to do is stay under it. You don't have to make your life work by force. You have to stay close by faith. The closer you walk, the clearer the shadow becomes. The more you abide, the less access the enemy has. And the less you move from fear, the more you stand in peace. You are not exposed. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering. You are being followed by a shadow that doesn't vanish when the sun goes down. This is the presence of the Almighty. And the moment you choose to dwell, everything changes, not just around you, but within you. Dwelling is not a feeling. It's not a worship moment. It's not something you fall into during a church service or after a perfect morning prayer. Dwelling is a decision deliberate, daily, and disruptive to the patterns of a world that demands your attention but offers no peace in return. Psalm 91 does not say, "He who feels close to God will abide under the shadow of the Almighty." It says, "He who dwells." That word is heavy, not poetic, but purposeful. Not an accident, but an instruction. Dwelling requires intention. It means you've planted yourself somewhere and made it permanent. You cannot dwell and wander at the same time. You cannot dwell and entertain compromise. You cannot dwell in the secret place if your heart is constantly being pulled into distractions that numb you instead of anchoring you. That's why this isn't about devotion, because devotion can become mechanical. You can be devoted in habit, but distant in heart. You can check the boxes, say the prayers, sing the songs, but still live uncovered. Because God's shadow doesn't fall on motion, it falls on proximity. Some only run to God when life falls apart. They think crisis is the gateway to protection. But Psalm 91 doesn't promise covering to those who panic. It promises covering to those who stay. The presence of God isn't a fire alarm. It's a home. And too many are living as spiritual visitors, not residents. They enter when things get hard and exit when things feel manageable again. But the secret place doesn't open and close like a hotel. It's always available. The question is whether you've decided to live there. You don't need to wait until your heart feels on fire to be covered. The covering is constant if your position is consistent. You can dwell in the middle of grief. You can dwell in the middle of battle. You can dwell when prayers don't feel powerful and your worship feels quiet. Because dwelling isn't emotional, it's spiritual. It's not about whether you feel Him every second. It's about whether you've decided, this is where I live. I don't leave when life gets loud. I don't run when answers delay. I dwell. And to dwell means some things have to be evicted. You cannot dwell in God and host fear at the same time. You cannot dwell and feed anxiety daily through the voices and noise of the world. Dwelling creates separation, a holy kind, not isolation, but consecration. Because the secret place is not open to everything. It's not a common space, it's sacred ground. And it's only for those who choose to live there. This is not about escaping reality, it's about abiding in truth. Dwelling does not mean ignoring your problems. It means facing them from a protected position. It means walking through storms with an unshakable center. The difference between those who collapse and those who conquer is often this one word: dwell. You won't find spiritual power by jumping in and out of God's presence based on how life feels. You will find it by planting yourself. By making a decision that His presence is not a part of your life, it is the whole atmosphere in which your life moves. And here's the real test: what do you do when nothing seems to be changing? When the enemy whispers that God is distant, that you've been forgotten, that the promises aren't working? Do you drift? Do you disconnect? Or do you stay? Because that's what makes dwelling powerful. It's not your strength, it's your stillness. It's the refusal to move from the one place where protection is guaranteed. Dwelling is not flashy, it's not loud, it's not always emotional, but it's real. It's deep, and it's what separates the spiritually fragile from the spiritually rooted. It's the daily, quiet decision to return, to remain, to abide. Psalm 91 is not activated by visitors. It's inhabited by dwellers. And God is not asking you to perform for protection. He's asking you to choose proximity. That choice, when made consistently, is what keeps you covered when chaos comes. So if you've been in and out, up and down, spiritually scattered, the answer isn't more noise. The answer is one choice. Decide to dwell, not because you feel it, but because it's where your life is safe, your future secure, your soul guarded, because the shadow doesn't move, but you do, and it's time to come home and stay. When we talk about protection, we often imagine walls, barriers, or defenses outside of us, something physical or external. But Psalm 91 reveals something deeper and far more powerful. God does not just protect you from a distance. He makes Himself your territory. The ground you walk on, the air you breathe, the very atmosphere that surrounds your soul. When God becomes your territory, you are no longer a stranger wandering through uncertain lands. You become a resident in a sacred domain no enemy can invade. Think about territory in the natural world. To be on your own land means control, familiarity, and safety. Predators hesitate because you know every inch, every hiding place. You are not just surviving, you are thriving because your environment is shaped by you and for you. When God becomes your territory, the spiritual realm aligns to your presence. The enemy's schemes cannot take root because your life is established in a realm governed by God's authority. This is not a metaphor, it's a spiritual reality. Psalm 91 speaks of abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. Shadows don't fall randomly, they cover and claim space. To dwell in that shadow means your life exists within God's protective boundary. Your soul's geography is no longer vulnerable, but fortified. God's presence saturates your territory, making it impenetrable to fear, doubt, and attack. When God is your territory, everything you face must first cross Him. Illness, financial strain, relational breakdowns they can approach but cannot establish residence. The enemy can knock, but the door is sealed. This territory is not built on your strength but on His promise, His covenant, His unchanging power. It's a place where you stand firm, not because you are invincible, but because you are enveloped by divine presence. What does this mean practically? It means your thoughts, your emotions, your daily decisions start to align with the geography of God's protection. You begin to live with an unshakable confidence because you are anchored in a territory no darkness can overthrow. Your faith isn't just hope, it's a territorial claim, declaring that your life belongs to God's kingdom and no enemy can take it from you. This territorial reality is why Psalm 91 goes beyond safety. It's about dominion. Not a dominion that you force, but one you inherit by living within God's space. It shifts your perspective from reactive fear to proactive authority. You don't just wait for protection, you live in a power zone where protection is constant. It also redefines your identity. You are no longer a victim caught in life's battles. You are a warrior stationed in a divine fortress. Your territory includes peace that surpasses understanding, joy that is unshaken by circumstances, and a boldness to face challenges because your ground is God-claimed. Understanding God as your territory changes how you face fear. Fear loses its foothold because it's like an intruder trying to set up camp on enemy land. When you recognize that your spirit, your mind, your heart, and your body are under divine jurisdiction, fear can only be a visitor, not a resident. It can only knock, but cannot enter. Psalm 91 invites you to declare your life a sacred place where God rules without contest. It's an invitation to stop walking aimlessly and begin staking your claim in the territory of His presence. To live daily not just with hope for protection, but in the reality of it. To know that your every step is on ground held by almighty power. So, the question stands, have you made God your territory? Or are you still wandering through spiritual no man's land, vulnerable to every attack? The promise of Psalm 91 is not just refuge, it's dominion. It's not just protection, it's possession. And it's only found by those who live where God's shadow falls, by those who make His presence their home. When God becomes your territory, everything changes. You don't just survive, you reign. You don't just endure, you conquer. Because you dwell in a place where heaven meets earth and the enemy's plans are powerless. Psalm 91 reveals something most people miss. Protection isn't just spiritual, it's also supernatural and strategic. The Bible speaks of angels assigned to guard you, but this isn't a vague promise or a poetic thought. It's a concrete reality that happens beyond your sight. These angelic assignments are part of God's unseen defense system, mobilized specifically because you dwell under His shadow. Angels are not just passive beings hovering around. They are warriors, sent with orders to intervene in the battles you face. When the psalm says, "He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways," it means God personally directs these powerful spirits to be your shield and your escort. You are not alone. You are surrounded by heavenly forces that obey the Most High's command. This protection extends to every step you take, every way you walk. It's a 24/7 operation, not limited by time zones or physical space. Angels are strategically positioned to catch you when you stumble, to divert attacks before they reach you, and to open doors of opportunity that seem impossible. This is why the enemy's schemes often fail. You are walking with divine reinforcements. Most believers struggle to fully grasp this because what they see and feel is limited. They rely on their own strength, their own understanding. But God's strategy is always beyond human sight. Angels operate in the spiritual realm, where battles are fought in silence and victory is secured before you even realize the war started. There's also a peace that comes with knowing angels are assigned to your life. When fear tries to grip your heart, remind yourself that heavenly forces are actively protecting you. When uncertainty presses in, remember, you are not navigating alone. This spiritual backup gives you confidence to face whatever comes, but there is a condition: dwelling under God's shadow. The angelic assignment is not a random act. It is activated by your position in the secret place. The enemy knows this, which is why he tries so hard to push you away from intimacy with God. Because once you dwell, once you establish that closeness, the angels move at God's command. This reveals a profound truth. Your spiritual safety depends not on luck or coincidence, but on your proximity to God. When you choose to abide, you are not just protected by prayer or positive thinking. You are guarded by the very armies of heaven, and that protection is comprehensive, covering your mind, body, spirit, and every path you walk. Understanding the angelic assignment shifts how you live daily. It gives you boldness to move forward, knowing God has already deployed His forces for you. It frees you from fear of the unknown, because the unseen is not empty, it's alive with God's protection. This is not an abstract doctrine, it is a lifeline, a supernatural guarantee that the battles you face on earth are already won in heaven. You are invited to live in the confidence of that reality, to step into your days knowing angels are working behind the scenes for your good. So remember, your life is not an accident. It's a mission under divine protection. Angels are assigned to guard your steps because you dwell where God's shadow falls, and nothing can penetrate that divine perimeter. The secret place in Psalm 91 isn't a vague mystical concept reserved for spiritual elites. It's the very real, very personal sanctuary. God invites you into a place where your soul finds refuge, renewal, and strength. This secret place is not hidden from God, it's hidden from the enemy. It is a sacred space set apart from the noise, the distractions, and the assaults of life. When you dwell in the secret place, you step out of the battlefield's chaos and into God's peace. This sanctuary is not a physical location but a spiritual reality. It is where you meet God face to face through faith. It's a place of intimacy where your heart is aligned with His heart, where your fears are quieted, and your spirit is fortified. It's not about escaping the world, but about entering a divine presence so powerful that the world's troubles lose their grip on you. Many struggle to find this place because they look for it in outward circumstances, church services, rituals, or religious acts. But the secret place is internal. It's a posture of the heart that says, I will seek you beyond what I see. I will trust you beyond what I feel. It requires intentionality. It requires silence amid noise. It requires surrender amid control. In the secret place, you are shielded not only from physical harm but from spiritual attack. It is where you receive God's promises and where your faith is strengthened to hold on to those promises even when the enemy shouts otherwise. This place is where hope is born anew each day, and where your identity as God's beloved is reinforced beyond doubt. Dwelling here means more than visiting. It means consistent, daily return. It means prioritizing this sanctuary over distractions that steal your time and peace. It's a commitment to let God's presence saturate your life so deeply that it becomes your first response to fear, your refuge in confusion, and your strength in weakness. This secret place also transforms your perspective on suffering. When you dwell in God's presence, pain does not disappear, but it is framed by His faithfulness. Your trials become temporary chapters in a story that God is writing, not the whole narrative. This sanctuary teaches endurance, not escape. Living in the secret place recalibrates your soul's compass. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you respond from a place of divine alignment. It's where peace rules over panic, where faith outweighs doubt, and where love overcomes despair. It's where you realize you are never alone, even when it feels like you are. Psalm 91 calls this secret place the Most High. That's the highest position, the ultimate authority. When you dwell there, you are living under the sovereignty of God Himself. This is a posture of humility and strength, combined a recognition that you are small but loved by the Almighty, vulnerable but guarded by the Eternal. To enter the secret place is to step into a living relationship with God where protection flows naturally, because presence is constant. It's not a performance, but a position, a resting place that becomes your spiritual home. The question is simple but powerful. Do you make space for this secret place in your daily life? Or is your soul constantly exposed, moving through days without intentional dwelling? The secret place is open and waiting. The invitation stands. The protection is ready. When you decide to dwell there, you do more than find safety, you find your soul's sanctuary. And in that sanctuary, nothing can touch you except what God allows. Consistency is the secret ingredient in spiritual protection. Psalm 91 doesn't speak about momentary shelter or fleeting moments of refuge. It reveals the power of abiding day after day, hour after hour, regardless of circumstances. The shadow of the Almighty isn't a temporary cover you find only when the storm hits. It's a constant presence reserved for those who choose to remain, who decide to stay close no matter what. Abiding means to remain firmly rooted, like a tree planted by streams of living water. It means your spiritual life isn't a roller coaster of highs and lows, but a steady walk in God's presence. Too many believers live in cycles of fervor and fatigue, rushing to God when trouble arises and then drifting away when things settle. But Psalm 91 invites you to a different rhythm, one of unwavering closeness that doesn't depend on feelings or circumstances. Why is consistency so powerful? Because it rewires your soul. It trains your heart to recognize God's voice above the noise, to trust His promises beyond what you see. It transforms your mind so that fear has no foothold and peace becomes your default. It reshapes your life so that protection is not just a reaction but a lifestyle. Living consistently in God's shadow also builds resilience. When you abide daily, your faith is like a muscle growing stronger with every challenge. You learn to stand firm in the face of adversity because your foundation isn't shifting. You don't crumble when attacks come because you are anchored in something unshakable, the presence of God. This power of abiding also means you don't have to live in spiritual exhaustion. When your strength feels weak, abiding sustains you. When your mind is overwhelmed, abiding calms you. It's not about pushing harder, but about resting deeper in God's care. It's a paradox that true strength comes from surrender. The enemy works hard to break this rhythm. He knows that if he can distract you, wear you out, or convince you that God has forgotten you, you'll leave the secret place. He wants you to mistake inconsistency for failure and to believe protection is only for the perfect or the persistent. But Psalm 91 says otherwise. Protection belongs to those who abide not because they are flawless, but because they remain. This invites us to rethink what spiritual success looks like. It's not about grand moments or spectacular miracles. It's about faithfulness in the small choices to stay connected, to keep praying, to keep trusting. The power isn't in your perfection, but in your persistence. Abiding is also an act of humility. It's saying, I can't do this alone. It's acknowledging your need for God every moment and inviting Him to be the center of your life. This humility opens the door for God's power to work in you and through you. So how do you cultivate this consistent abiding? It begins with a choice deciding that no matter how you feel, no matter what's happening around you, you will return to the secret place. It means carving out time to be still before God, to listen, to rest, to surrender. It means practicing trust daily, even when doubts arise. The promise is clear. Those who abide live under the shadow of the Almighty, and that shadow is not fleeting. It is steadfast, powerful, and life-giving. Consistency in dwelling opens the door for a protection that outlasts storms and outlasts fears. You don't have to be perfect to abide. You just have to be present. The power of Psalm 91 is found in the daily decision to remain, not because life is easy, but because God's presence is faithful. Trust is the heartbeat of Psalm 91's promise. It's not blind faith, but a deliberate choice to rely on God even when nothing in your current situation guarantees safety. Trusting beyond what you see or feel means anchoring your soul in the unseen reality of God's protection and provision. This kind of trust doesn't ignore danger or difficulty. It acknowledges them but refuses to be ruled by them. Think about the challenges that have shaken your confidence. Maybe it was a sudden loss, a financial crisis, a health scare, or broken relationships. In those moments, trusting God can feel impossible. Your senses scream for you to worry. Your mind races with what-ifs, and fear tries to take control. Yet Psalm 91 calls you to a higher place, a place where your trust is not tied to circumstances, but to the character of God. This trust is rooted in knowing who God is, the Most High, the Almighty, the faithful protector who has never failed his children. When you trust beyond sight, you lean on his promises rather than your problems. You choose to believe that what he has spoken will come to pass, even if the evidence around you looks different. Trusting beyond sight also means relinquishing control. It's releasing your grip on how and when God will act. It's stepping into surrender, saying, I don't have to understand everything. I don't have to have all the answers. I trust you to work on my behalf. This surrender opens the door for God's power to move in ways you couldn't have planned. The enemy knows how destructive this trust is to his plans. He wants you to focus on what's visible: the storm, the pain, the uncertainty, because fear is a powerful tool to distract and defeat you. But when you choose to trust beyond sight, you disrupt his schemes. You refuse to live by fear's narrative and instead live by God's truth. Trusting beyond circumstance also brings peace that defies logic. It's a peace that isn't dependent on the resolution of the problem, but on the presence of God. Even when the battle rages, you can have inner calm because your soul is anchored in divine faithfulness. This kind of trust is cultivated through experience and meditation on God's word. It grows as you remember past victories, as you rehearse God's promises, and as you practice stepping out in faith repeatedly. Trust is a muscle strengthened over time, not an instant achievement. When you live by this trust, you begin to see life differently. You start recognizing God's hand in situations others might only see as setbacks. You become aware of the subtle ways he protects, provides, and prepares you. This awareness fuels your confidence and courage. Ultimately, trusting beyond sight means living in the tension between what is visible and what is promised. It's the spiritual posture of Psalm 91 that invites you to rest, even when your eyes say danger is near. This trust is a shield protecting your heart and mind from despair and empowering you to keep moving forward. So ask yourself, are you trusting God only when it's easy, or when everything looks right? Or are you learning to trust him beyond sight, beyond circumstance, because you know his shadow covers you no matter what? That kind of trust unlocks the fullness of Psalm 91's protection. Psalm 91 is not just a prayer to recite in times of trouble. It is a transformative power that, when embraced daily, changes the very fabric of your life. This psalm invites you to step into a reality where fear loses its grip, where peace becomes your default state, and where your identity is anchored in God's unfailing protection. Living Psalm 91 daily is about letting its truths saturate your heart so deeply that every choice, every moment, is filtered through its promise. When you make Psalm 91 a daily part of your spiritual walk, it begins to renew your mind. You start seeing challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to experience God's faithfulness. Your perspective shifts from worry to worship, from anxiety to assurance. This mental renewal is crucial because your thoughts dictate your emotions and actions. Psalm 91 reprograms your heart to dwell in confidence rather than fear. This transformation extends beyond the spiritual into the practical. When you live Psalm 91 daily, you find yourself moving through life with a boldness that comes from knowing you are protected. You take steps that once seemed risky, speak words that once felt impossible, and face situations with a calmness that surprises even yourself. The shadow of the Almighty isn't just a spiritual concept. It becomes a lived experience that empowers your actions. This daily embrace also brings a profound sense of rest. The psalm promises shelter and refuge. And when you consistently claim these promises, your soul learns to rest even amid chaos. Stress no longer dominates your days. The relentless pressure to control outcomes begins to loosen its grip because you trust the one who controls all. Furthermore, Psalm 91 daily living cultivates a deeper intimacy with God. It's in the routine of returning to this psalm that your relationship with the Most High grows stronger and more personal. You move from knowing about God to knowing God, experiencing His presence not just in sacred moments but in everyday life. This intimacy fuels your faith and deepens your resilience. The transformation also impacts your relationships. When you are secure in God's protection and peace, you become a source of encouragement and strength to those around you. Your faith becomes contagious, inspiring others to seek the secret place and dwell under the shadow of the Almighty. The protection you live in becomes a testimony of God's goodness and power. Living Psalm 91 daily is not a one-time event, but a lifelong journey. It requires discipline, faith, and a willingness to surrender old fears and habits. But the rewards are immense, a life marked by peace, protection, and purpose. You begin to live as God intended, not as a victim of circumstances, but as a victorious child of the Most High. Remember, the shadow of God is not a temporary cover, but a constant presence that transforms how you face each day. Psalm 91 isn't a distant promise, but a present reality when you choose to live in its power. This transformation is available to anyone willing to dwell in God's presence consistently. So what if today you decided to make Psalm 91 your daily rhythm? What if you allowed its promises to shape your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions? The transformation that follows could redefine your entire life, bringing peace where there was panic, faith where there was fear, and protection where there was vulnerability. Fear is one of the most powerful weapons the enemy uses against us. It paralyzes, divides, and steals the joy God intends for our lives. Yet Psalm 91 stands as a fortress of assurance, reminding us that fear loses its grip when we live under God's protection. This psalm isn't merely poetic comfort, it is a declaration that God's shadow dispels fear and replaces it with peace that surpasses understanding. Overcoming fear begins with understanding its nature. Fear often disguises itself as caution or realism, but at its core, it is a lack of trust, a whisper that God's protection might fail, or that we must rely on ourselves. The shadow of the Almighty challenges this lie by insisting that when you dwell in God's presence, fear has no place. The psalm paints a vivid picture. No terror will come near your dwelling, no plague will walk in darkness, no disaster will strike at midday. These words are not just wishes, they are spiritual realities for those who live aligned with God's promises. When you embrace this truth, fear's power weakens because your soul is anchored in a deeper reality. But overcoming fear is not a one-time event. It is a daily battle. Each time fear creeps in, Psalm 91 calls you back to remember whose shadow you live under. It invites you to replace anxious thoughts with faith-filled declarations. This spiritual discipline rewires your mind and transforms your emotional responses. Fear thrives on isolation and distraction. When you are disconnected from God or overwhelmed by chaos, fear takes root more easily. Dwelling in the secret place keeps you connected to your source of strength. It reminds you that you are never alone, no matter how dark the night or how fierce the storm. The assurance of divine protection empowers you to face life's uncertainties boldly. You can walk through difficult circumstances with the confidence that God's angels are assigned to guard you. This is not just spiritual rhetoric, it's a practical truth that changes how you approach challenges, decisions, and relationships. Overcoming fear through Psalm 91 also means embracing vulnerability. It means admitting your need for God's covering rather than pretending you are invincible. Vulnerability opens the door for God's strength to manifest in your weakness. It shifts your reliance from self to the Almighty. This assurance brings freedom. Freedom from anxiety, from the need to control outcomes, and from the paralyzing grip of what-ifs. Living with this freedom allows you to step forward in faith, knowing that protection isn't about absence of danger, but God's presence amid it. Imagine what life looks like when fear no longer controls your choices. When you can sleep peacefully at night, rise courageously in the morning, and move confidently through your day. This is the promise of Psalm 91, a promise that protection and peace are inseparable for those who dwell in God's shadow. So when fear threatens to overwhelm you, remember, God's shadow is more than shelter. It is assurance, strength, and peace. Choose to live in that shadow. Choose faith over fear. The battle may come, but under His protection, you will stand firm. Psalm 91 does not simply offer temporary refuge, it promises ultimate victory for those who choose to dwell in the shadow of the Almighty. This victory is not based on circumstances or human effort, but on the unshakable power and faithfulness of God. To live in victory means to walk each day assured that no weapon formed against you will prevail, no enemy can overcome you, and your life is firmly held in divine hands. Victory through Psalm 91 starts with identity. It's about recognizing who you are in God's eyes. A child protected by the Most High, a citizen of the kingdom, and a beloved one under divine care. This identity shifts how you see yourself and your battles. You no longer see yourself as vulnerable or alone, but as covered, shielded, and empowered. Living in victory means embracing the promises God makes within the psalm that He will command His angels to guard you, that you will trample the lion and the serpent, symbols of danger and evil. These promises are not metaphors to be admired from a distance, but realities to be claimed and lived. When you walk in this confidence, fear loses its power, and hope becomes your anchor. Victory also means persistence. It's not about a one-time win, but about daily choosing to trust, obey, and remain close to God. The battles may come, but victory is assured because your strength comes from Him. This perspective changes defeat into discipline, setbacks into setups for greater breakthroughs. The psalm teaches that victory is available not to the strongest or smartest, but to the one who abides in God's presence. It's the person who chooses faith over fear, obedience over doubt, and presence over distance. This choice leads to a life marked by supernatural protection and favor. Living in victory impacts every area of life. It influences your decisions, your relationships, your peace of mind, and your spiritual growth. You begin to live with a boldness that inspires others and a hope that sustains you through trials. Your testimony becomes a beacon to those still searching for refuge. The ultimate victory is not just personal safety, but spiritual triumph, the assurance of salvation, the joy of God's presence, and the hope of eternal life. Psalm 91 points beyond earthly protection to a deeper, eternal security found only in the Almighty. So the question is, will you claim this victory today? Will you decide to dwell in the secret place, stand under the shadow of the Almighty, and live as one who is more than a conqueror? This is the ultimate promise of Psalm 91, waiting for those who dare to live in it fully. Your victory is not just a hope, it is a promise. Live in it. Walk in it. Let the shadow of God's protection empower you to a life of peace, strength, and unstoppable faith.